If I'm in the lower scope, and
yes.
I want to enjoy this life, only this life.
Only this lifetime, yeah. But virtue's joy.
Yeah, so again, if I go in the Arya path, in this life as well, and I believe I can become an Arya in this life, and I don't believe in afterlife.
But then you're already higher scope. The moment you aim for liberation, you're higher scope, even if you don't believe in the reincarnation. Then automatically, that's your scope, because you wish for more than higher rebirth. You don't believe in them, so it's not an option. So then, liberation. Right? You're already by definition. What do you think? Anyone? Anyone? I don't know. I only have my opinion, but I don't know. I believe it means you don't take refuge in that way. You just don't take refuge. And no one says that each of those refuges has to apply to each of these people. In fact, when you aim for the Mahayana, your Dharma actually becomes higher. Your Dharma, you're aiming for some higher Dharma, definitely in terms of your own personal Dharma, it's definitely the cessation of a Buddha. That's what you're aiming for. You're not just aiming for liberation. Liberation is a side effect. Okay? You will be liberated once you're a Buddha, but it's a side effect. It's just no way you can be a Buddha without being liberated. But what you're aiming for as your resultant Dharma is your own personal enlightenment. Unless you wish for other living beings, you take refuge in the Dharma, because you don't just wish for your own enlightenment, you also wish for the liberation of suffering for other beings. Right? You can generate bodhicitta, the wish to become enlightened, for the benefit of sentient beings. Either you want them to be Buddhas, or you want them all to be liberated. In both cases, it's strong enough to become a Buddha. If you want them to just have ordinary happiness, this is not enough as a motivating force to generate bodhicitta. Just may they be happy, as in like, may they have a beautiful night out, for that I want to become a Buddha. It's not strong enough. So either you wish for them to get rid of obscurations to liberation, or obscurations to enlightenment. Okay?
I want to ask something. I think that I might have a very basic misunderstanding. Very, very basic.
Okay.
About fifth scopes.
Okay, let's hear.
I didn't think that if I belong to the small scope, it means that I refuse to believe or to achieve one day the higher scopes. It's just this is my state of mind today.
Yes.
Quite frankly, I speak very highly. I want to attain enlightenment, but quite frankly, I'm probably going to the small scope.
Okay.
Because really, what I can understand, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I do wish to go for more. But what I understand is, at the most, next levels. The others is more theoretical, and I try to make it practical. It doesn't mean that I don't want to take a refuge in the Buddha in order to change it, to move to a higher scope. This is a living process. I take refuge in the Buddha Dharma Sangha. I wish to attain enlightenment for the benefit of our ascending. But where am I today?
Okay.
I belong to the small scope.
But first of all, Ligor, number one, what makes you think you're wrong about that? Because I didn't say that is not a possibility. The possibility I included was someone who doesn't see that as a possibility. So in that case, would they still have to take refuge? But secondly, you're saying that if you are that kind of person, it seems to be a little bit contradictory. First you said, no, it's not for me. For other people, yes, I hope in the future, right? But for right now, I focus on just next lives. But then, for right now, you wouldn't aspire to become a Buddha. Right now would not be, because you said...
I still, that's what I'm saying. Let's say that in my case, I really want to attain enlightenment, but this is more theoretical, but practical.
Okay, that's
Still,
great.
now we're talking about refuge.
Mm-hmm.
Still, I would like to take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, in the Arya Sangha, because eventually I want to actualize this state of mind. I want to in the future
To become a Buddha.
higher state.
Become enlightened, become liberated. So kind of you want and you don't want.
No, of course it's not. I'm just saying there's a difference between my wish and my actual state.
Okay. Anyway, no, it doesn't matter.
And
I think...
take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. That's why
Yes.
I belong to the smallest group.
Right. Okay, so this is just a debate. This is just for the sake of debate, and the reason I debate it is not so much that there's this answer or that answer. It's just to think about it, to reflect upon it, just to give you a better understanding. Because previously, when we take refuge, I don't think this comes to mind. So there is no clear-cut answer. Usually, it is accepted what it says in Maitreya's text, but I think it is pretty much in terms of. If you aim for next life, if just next life, that's your main goal, or just virtuous happiness in this lifetime, you don't need to generate belief in, take refuge in the cessations and the path. What you could take refuge in is a slightly lower version of that, of just the temporary absence of anger, the temporary absence. Because this is the kind of happiness you wish for yourself, right? In this lifetime, the happiness from being loving instead of being hateful, the happiness of being generous instead of being miserly, etc. So you do actually wish for yourself at least a temporary cessation of anger, a temporary cessation of the misapprehension, of selfishness, etc., and the methods to go there. And so you take refuge in other people's minds as a possibility, the way you say, and aspire towards it yourself. So it's just a kind of watered-down version. Instead of the actual cessation, it's a temporary one. And that's what we need in the meantime anyway. Buddhist practice is not about, well, as long as your anger is there, never mind. Once you have a cessation, but until then, don't try to weaken it. No, in the meantime, we try to weaken it, we try to lessen it, until we can totally eradicate it. So in a way, we do take refuge also in that. I think it works either way. And of course, no one is saying you have to take refuge. If you take the resultant refuge, taking refuge in the resultant Buddha, if you don't want to become a Buddha, that falls away. So it's like the complete version would be causal and resultant. And in terms of cessation, the least you want is to be free from, that's what we're aiming for, permanent eradication of our own problem and those of others, seeing that it's unnecessary suffering that they give rise to. Okay? So it's nice to kind of debate it. On the debate ground, you would exactly do that, like challenge, like why you're saying that, but it's really just for the sake of understanding there's no clear-cut answer. But taking refuge with all this in mind, whatever understanding you have, now from now on, try to take that moment, although it's just a few seconds. But of course, taking refuge is not the words, it's the actual state of mind. So to remember whatever we went through today. All right, I don't know whether I should stretch it further. It's 9:10. So let's leave it at that. Okay? Okay, and if you have more questions, we can do it tomorrow. But let's take a moment before we speak the dedication to just also have the thought, to not speak the words, but to make sure we are motivated in the right way, that we think that whatever positive potential, whatever merit we've accumulated here together, may this enable us to generate rational fear of suffering, of the afflictive emotions, and of course, suffering and afflictive emotions of other sentient beings, and generate faith and correct reliance on the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, so that we take refuge in the proper way, so that eventually this will become one of the causes for us to become fully enlightened so that we can lead all other sentient beings to that state. Recite the prayer.
Page 9.